Julian Newman. Julian Newman was the first viral basketball phenom of the social media era. At just 11 years old, he was lighting up varsity defenders in Florida, pulling up from 30 feet, breaking ankles, and dropping 40-point games on varsity as a 5th grader. His highlight reels racked up millions of views. ESPN covered him. Overtime featured him. He became a brand before he became a teenager. And the hype? It was unreal at the time. He wasn't just playing high school basketball, he was the show. Packed gyms, national headlines, but as he grew older, everyone just about caught up and surpassed him in every possible way. The main problem, of course, is that Julian was listed at 5'7", but he was probably closer to 5'5". He was quick and crafty, but his shot selection was wild, his defense non-existent, and his fundamentals were shaky. His entire high school career took place at a private school run by his father, where stats were inflated and competition was questionable. He once reportedly averaged over 30 points a game, but scouts weren't convinced. He never got a Division I offer, and never even got ranked. Instead of going the college route, Julian and his family doubled down on the brand. A reality show, merch drops, training camps. He declared for the 2020 NBA draft and went undrafted, unsurprisingly. Overseas options came and went. G League never happened. D1 offers, still nothing. His pro career has been limited to short stints in semi-pro leagues, exhibition games, and the occasional Instagram clip. The truth is, Julian Newman was never developed. He was marketed. He was trained to go viral, not trained to run an offense. And in an era where social media makes stars overnight, he became the first cautionary tale, a player who peaked in middle school and never got better. He had talent, no one's denying that, but hype without structure, coaching, and competition will only take you so far, and in Julian's case, it never took him past the highlight tape. Julian Newman wasn't just a prodigy who flopped, he was the blueprint for how not to handle a young star, a viral legend who never made it off your phone screen. Shareef Cooper. Before Scoot, before Keynote, before the G League was a serious route, there was Shareef Cooper. In high school, he was that guy, a 6-foot wizard with the ball, throwing no-look dimes and running the court like a seasoned vet. He had the handles, the swagger, the vision, and the mixtapes to back it up. He wasn't dunking like Zion, but the flash was undeniable. The court awareness, off the charts. He made defenders look silly, made teammates look like stars, and by the time he hit senior year, he wasn't just a viral sensation. He was a McDonald's All-American, a 5-star recruit, and a certified Auburn Tiger. He was supposed to be next, but the player in those mixtapes never fully translated to the next level. At Auburn, his career was already off to a rocky start. He missed the first 12 games due to NCAA eligibility issues. And when he finally played, the flashes were there. He averaged 20 points and 8 assists in 12 games, but the efficiency, not great. The size, a problem, and the defense, practically non-existent. Still, the promise was enough to enter the 2021 NBA draft. But teams weren't buying the hype anymore. Shareef fell, hard, to the second round. Pick 48. No guaranteed contract. He landed with the Hawks, but barely played. Bounced between the G League and the bench, and when he did get minutes, the production didn't follow. Too small, too streaky, too many turnovers. The NBA wasn't waiting around. The kid who once looked like a future all-star was now fighting for 10-day contracts. He bounced to Cleveland's G League squad, dropped some big numbers, even had a few 40-point nights, but the call-up never came. And that's the thing about Shareef's story. The talent was real, the court vision still elite. The confidence, unshaken. But the NBA is a different beast, and when you're a 6-foot point guard who can't consistently shoot or defend, your margin for error is razor thin. Shareef Cooper wasn't a fraud, he was a floor general, but floor generals still need efficiency, still need size, still need the full game. And when the hype dies down, all that's left is what you built. Shareef's story wasn't a lie, it was a harsh reality. Basketball isn't about mixtapes, it's about progress, and sometimes potential gets lost in the transition. 7th Woods. Before Zion, before Mikey, before Overtime was even a brand, there was 7th Woods. In 2013, at just 14 years old, his mixtape dropped and the internet exploded. a 6'2" 8th grader out of South Carolina with a 40-inch vertical, blinding speed, and grown man dunks in transition. The video was titled "The Best 14-Year-Old in the Country," and it wasn't clickbait. He was electric, explosive, a one-man fast break. Kevin Durant tweeted about him. Fans were calling him Baby Westbrook. He was the high school basketball prodigy before social media hype became normal. But the player in that mixtape never fully showed up again. Woods played at the Hammond School. His athleticism was elite. He had bounce for days, but the skill set wasn't evolving. His handle was loose, his jumper was streaky, his feel for the game lagged behind the highlight plays. Still, the hype carried him to North Carolina, a dream landing spot. But under Roy Williams, he struggled to find a role. He played 3 seasons for the Tar Heels and averaged under 2 points per game. From there, it was a slow fade. He transferred to South Carolina, played a bit more, but never broke out. Then he transferred again to Morgan State, a mid-major. His 5th year of college basketball ended quietly. No buzz, no summer league invite, no draft stock. The same kid who once was the most watched teenager in basketball had vanished from the conversation entirely. What makes 7th Wood's story so tough isn't that the hype was fake. He really was that athletic. He really did dominate kids his age, but basketball isn't about 8th grade. It's about development, progress, skill, and Woods never found a way to grow into a complete player. He relied on athleticism, and when that wasn't enough, there wasn't much left. He's still playing now overseas, chasing the game he once owned, but the gap between who he was supposed to be and who he became, massive. 7th Woods wasn't a fraud, he was a phenom, but phenoms still need fundamentals, and when the hype runs out, all that's left is the work. His story wasn't a scam, it was a missed evolution. Mikey Williams. At one point, Mikey Williams was the most followed high school athlete in the country. He had more Instagram followers than half of the NBA, millions of them, by the time he was 16. He was dropping 40-point games as a freshman, dunking on defenders twice his age, and had every camera in the gym from day one. He played alongside Bronny James in middle school, Slam covered him, Overtime followed him, Ball is Life documented everything. Mikey wasn't just a prospect, he was a brand, and the hype? Unmatched. He was the rare mix of showtime and production. The handles were tight, the bounce was real, the jumper looked solid. In 8th grade, he was already getting offers from Arizona and Kansas. Some called him the future of basketball marketing. Others compared him to Derrick Rose with a jump shot. At 15, he scored 77 points in a game. He was a walking headline. But somewhere along the line, the basketball part stopped keeping up. He transferred schools multiple times, the production dipped, scouts started to question the motor, the decision-making, the development. While other prospects like Scoot Henderson and Keynote George were evolving their games, Mikey was stuck doing the same things he did at 14, and relying on mixtape buzz to keep his name hot. He was still a top recruit, still a top 25 player in his class, but the cracks started to show. Then came the breaking point. In April 2023, Mikey was arrested on felony gun charges, 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. It shook everything. His college commitment to Memphis put on pause. His NIL deals stalled. His future suddenly in limbo. He never played a single minute of college basketball, and now, even with legal cases pending and updates unclear, his draft stock, once top lottery range, has evaporated completely. Mikey Williams is still just 19. The story isn't over, but the hype train has already derailed. What started as one of the most promising high school careers of the Instagram era has turned into a cautionary tale. Fast. He had the following, he had the bounce, he had the eyes of the world, but none of that matters when your game stops evolving, or when off-court decisions take you off the court completely. Mikey Williams wasn't just a prodigy who might have flopped. He's a reminder that clout doesn't always equal a career. Isaiah Washington. Before the jelly layup was everywhere on TikTok and Instagram, it was Isaiah Washington who brought it to life. A flashy 6'1" point guard from Harlem, Washington wasn't just a high school star. He was a culture creator. He made finishing at the rim art. Finger rolls with hang time, left-hand floaters off glass, Euro steps into jelly. He turned simple layups into viral content and gave it a name, Jelly Fam. It wasn't just a nickname, it became a movement. He was New York City's chosen one. Madison Square Garden buzzed when he played. Slam magazine called him the savior of NYC point guards. ESPN ranked him a top 75 recruit in the class of 2017. But more than rankings, he had momentum. High school kids everywhere were mimicking his style. NBA players were reposting his highlights. He wasn't just supposed to go D1, he was supposed to own it. He chose Minnesota, a Power 5 program, with a big spotlight. And the fit? Rough from the start. Washington's game was built on rhythm and freedom, but at the college level, it looked forced. His shot was inconsistent, his efficiency tanked, his flair became recklessness. In his freshman year, he'd shot just 36% from the field, turned the ball over too much, and fell behind on the depth chart. He transferred first to Iona, then to Long Beach State, trying to find the right fit. It never clicked. By his senior year, Isaiah Washington, once the most talked about point guard in the country, was just another mid-major guard trying to prove he belonged. No NBA scouts were calling, no summer league invites. He went undrafted. Overseas stints followed, but the buzz was long gone. Jellyfam didn't die, the brand still lives on, but its founder never made it. Not the way people expected. Isaiah Washington had the handles, the confidence, the identity, but his game never matured beyond the highlight reel. And in a world where development is everything, he stalled. He was a movement, a trendsetter, a mixtape king. But basketball isn't just style, it's substance. And in the end, Washington had the sizzle, but never found the steak. Ammani Bates. At 15 years old, Ammani Bates was being called the next Kevin Durant. Slam magazine put him on the cover with that exact label. ESPN had him as the #1 player in the country, not just in his class, but overall. He had a silky jumper, a 6'9" frame, and the kind of poison-scoring touch that made you double-check his birth certificate. As a sophomore, he dropped 40+ in nationally televised games and led his team to a state title. He was the first sophomore ever to win Gatorade National Player of the Year. KD himself tweeted about him. And the hype machine kicked into overdrive. He committed to Michigan State as a 16-year-old, then decommitted. He transferred schools, he reclassified, his game stayed flashy, but the polish didn't follow. His decision-making didn't evolve, his body didn't fill out. The things he got away with at 15, the long contested stepbacks, the over-dribbling, the defensive gambling, started to get exposed against better competition. He committed to Memphis and joined Penny Hardaway's loaded freshman class, but instead of leading the team, he became a role player. He missed time with a back injury, looked passive in big moments, and averaged just 9 points on 38% shooting in 18 games. The next KD, barely cracking the rotation. After one season, he left Memphis and transferred to Eastern Michigan, a mid-major school just minutes from his hometown. There, he put up numbers, but his efficiency and decision-making still didn't improve. He was the focal point, sure, but scouts weren't buying it. Too much freelancing, too little playmaking. He declared for the 2023 NBA draft, and despite the hype he once carried, he fell to the second round. The Cavs took him 49th overall. As of now, he's buried on a two-way contract. Ammani Bates' story isn't over. He's still just 20 years old. But the drop-off from chosen one to second-round project is massive. He had everything, the frame, the jumper, the spotlight. He was supposed to be the next great American-born scorer. But so far, he's just another reminder that early hype doesn't guarantee elite development. He wasn't just a prodigy, he was supposed to be a problem. But for now, he's just potential. Kyrie Walker. At 14 years old, Kyrie Walker was a walking mixtape. Built like a linebacker and playing like a grown man. He had the body of a college player before he even hit high school. He was dunking on defenders, hitting stepbacks, and flying through traffic like a top 10 pick in the making. As a freshman at Moreau Catholic in California, he averaged nearly 22 points per game and was already drawing offers from Arizona, UCLA, and Kansas. Ball Is Life crowned him the #1 player in his class. Fans were calling him the next Dwayne Wade, but bigger, stronger, and scarier. And then, everything changed. Walker transferred schools multiple times. He reclassified. He decommitted from Arizona State. The buzz slowed. His rankings started to slip. By the end of high school, he had dropped out of the top 25 entirely. Scouts began questioning his shot selection, his motor, and whether he was actually improving or just dominating because of his early physical development. Then came the biggest surprise. Kyrie Walker skipped college altogether. In 2020, he chose to train privately and prepare for the NBA draft instead of playing for a university or in the G League Ignite program. And just like that, he disappeared from the spotlight. No games, no stats, no stage to prove himself. For a full year, NBA teams barely saw him play. His name faded from draft boards. In 2021, he declared for the NBA draft, and nobody bid. He went undrafted. No Summer League invite, no G League priority. Eventually, he signed with the Capital City Go-Go in the G League, where he played limited minutes and never broke out. His numbers were modest, flashes of strength, effort on defense, but nothing close to the dominant wing he once looked like in high school. Kyrie Walker was supposed to be special, a rare mix of size, strength, and skill at a young age, but his game didn't grow, his shot didn't evolve. And without a consistent development path, he became another what happened case in a long list of prodigies who peaked before graduation. He had the look, he had the early dominance, but Kyrie Walker is proof that dominating at 14 doesn't mean you're ready at 19. Akquil Carr. Akquil Carr was a 5'6" explosion in sneakers, dubbed the Crime Stopper because reportedly crime in Baltimore paused when he played. Carr was a high school phenom unlike anything basketball had seen before. He was barely taller than the average 8th grader, but played like Allen Iverson mixed with Russell Westbrook. Lightning quick, fearless in the paint, and built like a pit bull with a 48-inch vertical. By age 16, he had a cult following. He dropped 57 points as a sophomore, had NBA players tweeting about him. Fans packed gyms just to watch him fly. He was the underdog fantasy, the tiny guard who could cross you, dunk on you, and then bark in your face. Mixtapes of his handles and poster dunks made him a YouTube legend. Even John Wall said he'd never seen a player like him at that size. By junior year, he had Division I offers from Seton Hall and others. He even received a $750,000 offer from an Italian pro team. As a high schooler, the hype was real, the future looked like a guarantee. But Carr never grew, and his game never matured. He bounced between high schools. Off-the-court issues started popping up. He decommitted from Seton Hall. By 2013, instead of playing college ball, he declared for the NBA draft straight out of high school, and no team called. He went undrafted, never played a minute in the NBA, had brief stints in the D-League, now the G League, and had a few short runs overseas, but the consistency just wasn't there. The handles were still flashy, the highlights still went viral, but NBA teams didn't trust the size, the decision-making, or the defense. At 5'6", Carr needed to be exceptional in every category to make it work, and he wasn't. What makes Akquil Carr's story sting is that the hype was organic. He wasn't handed the spotlight, he earned it. He packed gyms because he dominated, until the game caught up, until the speed he used to overwhelm others was no longer enough. He was a show, but not a system. He didn't flop because he wasn't talented. He flopped because no one showed him how to evolve. Akquil Carr was a viral legend, but in a league of giants, even legends need more than bounce. Lenny Cook. Lenny Cook was that guy before LeBron was that guy. In 2001, he was ranked as the #1 high school player in the country, ahead of LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Ammani Bates. A 6'6" shooting guard from Brooklyn with a grown man's body, explosive athleticism, and a smooth jumper. He dropped 25 in 10 games like it was nothing. Scouts called him a lock for the lottery. Adidas gave him a sneaker deal. His name was being whispered in the same breath as Kobe. The NBA didn't just feel close, it felt inevitable. And then, it never happened. Lenny never played a single minute in the NBA. His story wasn't about injury or bad luck, it was about bad decisions. Instead of going to college or playing overseas, he declared for the 2002 NBA draft right out of high school, believing the hype, trusting the people around him, and expecting a team to take him based on talent alone. But his workouts were inconsistent. Questions swirled about his work ethic and maturity, and on draft night, his name was never called. After that, the fall was fast. He bounced around minor leagues, the USBL, CBA, overseas in the Philippines, but nothing stuck. His conditioning faded, his motivation wavered, and by his mid-20s he was out of basketball completely. The same player who once dominated LeBron in camps was now delivering packages and watching the game pass him by. In 2013, a documentary titled Lenny Cook told the full story, a cautionary tale of talent without structure, promise without planning. He was the first viral phenom before being viral was a thing. No Instagram, no Snapchat, no YouTube, just word of mouth and raw dominance. And somehow, it still wasn't enough. Lenny Cook is the original what if, a player with NBA skills, NBA build, NBA hype, but no NBA minutes. He didn't just miss the league, he became the example future players were warned about. A reminder that being great at 17 doesn't mean you're built for what comes next. He could have been a star, he should have been a first-round pick, but Lenny Cook's career ended before it ever really began. So what did we learn? Hype is loud, mixtapes are flashy, followers are cool, but none of it guarantees a career. From Julian Newman to Mikey Williams and Lenny Cook, those were the chosen ones, the prodigies, the phenoms, the viral legends. But somewhere between promises and professionalism, the path fell apart. Some got lost in the system, some made very stupid decisions, and some just simply peaked too early. And in today's game, when everyone's watching, recording, and sharing, it's easy to blow up. But staying great, that still takes work. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe because this is just the beginning.